and gentlemen, welcome back to the show.
Yeah.
We have another guest this week.
Yeah, we're rolling in guests.
Yeah, we went from none for, I don't know what, 2 years.
2.5 years, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. To about one every week for the last little bit.
Yeah, we got some good guests, too.
Yeah. So with us today, we have our new friend, Brian Creeling. Did I say that right?
Yep.
From RT Machine Company.
Yep.
And they're in Hughesville, Pennsylvania.
That's it. Yeah.
So we were just talking about Brian's hot rod shop, which we're gonna get back to.
Yeah, we'll circle back.
But first, we want to thank our sponsor, Hafla. Hafla offers a wide range of products and solutions for the woodworking and furniture-making industries, from hinges and drawer slides to connectors and dowels, sandpaper, wood glue, shop carts, and everything in between. Exclusive product lines such as Lux LED lighting and Slido door hardware ensure that every project you create is built to last. Learn more at hafla.com.
Is that website up and running?
It is. We had it. We actually our order went through. So Rich hooked it up.
All right. Hafla had a little bit of trouble over there in Germany in their home country. It was a
big debt, like a ransomware attack. They were shut down for like 3 weeks.
We were pretty fortunate. Hafla had a warehouse literally 20 minutes from our shop. So we would get stuff instant, which was super nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, even here, a lot of stuff, if it comes from that Harrisburg or whatever it is, it's like the next day. Yeah, even the North Carolina is pretty fast.
Sweet.
So yeah, I was going to say, tell us what RT Machine Company is.
Well, RT Machine Company is, we're actually North America's biggest used equipment dealer. And then we're new equipment. We have quite an umbrella of new equipment that we sell, and full service of all makes. And we actually recondition just about anything. Cool. So, and then we recently bought all the rights to Oliver Machine Company.
Really?
I saw that.
From 1999 back to 1907, we actually have all the birth certificates, everything for every machine that ever went out. We have all the tooling, all the parts. We have all the foundry.
Wow.
That's the good Oliver.
Yeah, it is. We do a lot. There's right on the site right now, we just finished up a really nice bandsaw that was a full recondition. And we can take other people's wheels and whatnot and re-rubber them and just about anything in between with them. So, it's been a very nice add-on to the whole umbrella.
Yeah, well, we have that. I guess that's a 2000.
Yeah.
It's like the first year when they went over to Taiwan.
Yeah.
And it needs a little tune up now since we moved, but it's been good. We bought the 20-inch planer, must have been 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. That thing was horrible. We sent it back. It was a lemon.
Yeah.
It had so much deflection in the head that you could physically see it, moving when you ran a piece through.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And the customer service wasn't so responsive.
Yeah. Oh, and we have the shaper.
Yeah, we have an Oliver shaper. We were going to go full on Oliver, but we couldn't couldn't get the results.
Yeah, the newer stuff is a little bit different. Definitely.
It's just this, same factories as Grizzly and Powermatic, right, and exactly. It's just the same.
Different.
A lot of it's all coming from
similar.
Just depends on who has the best quality control.
Right. Yeah, maybe this bearing on the Powermatic's a little bit better, or this, the Oliver might be slightly better than the Jet or whatever,
Right.
The price point on the Oliver, too, it's like a little bit, it's higher than all of those similar machines on a lot of stuff, but then the quality doesn't seem to be there.
Mm.
Well, they definitely have heavy castings. I mean, that's one thing with them that it's definitely giving them edge on that side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what was it, the drill press or the bandsaw? The bandsaw was, oh, man.
Well, a lot of it's, too. It's on, who you're buying from, and the support with it.
Well, that sort of leads us into how we met.
Yep.
And why you're here and everything is sort of like a new part of our friend and family circle.
Yeah, Lou Lou said, "Hey, I got a buddy over here that's having some Edgebander issues." And no sooner I was at their shop, and Jeff called me, and I said, "Hey, I'll be over in about a half hour today."
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, fire that machine up. I'll be over. So it's one of the, I think, unique advantages that we have at RT. We have a big umbrella of technicians, and my background, obviously I had my own shop for 40 years that we just wound down at the end of the year. And so I've been there from the very beginning of just doing a couple man shop, growing all the way up to over 100-man shop, and running high production lines and casework and closet systems. And we did Schindler elevator for all North America.
Jeez.
So we had a couple elevator lines just running for that. So, and anything that was a custom laminated product we handled. So, quite the umbrella that we did. Yeah,
well, we saw some of the equipment, dust, got an outside dust collector 40 feet tall, and, it's the stuff that everybody dreams of running, all these big machines.
We just did 2 really nice rebuilds for O'Shea Lumber.
Oh, really?
So they had Oliver Stratoplanes, and we pulled one out, took it to the shop, did a complete rebuild. We put that one back in, took the other one back, did a complete rebuild, and they're up and running. Both their planers full speed again.
Nice. So the Stratoplane's what is it, a double-sided planer?
Correct.
Yeah, we had wood that have gone through those machines, I'm sure.
Thousands of board feet, probably.
Yeah. Typically we just buy a rough, but like that walnut that's in there, we had that, surface 2 sides and SLR, just because 12 footers on a 80-inch bed joiner is not going to happen easily.
Yeah, well, we got people that listen from all over the world, but we do have a circle of friends and stuff like that are regional, and we want to just say, as like a kind of a shameless plug, give you guys a call or whatever if you need anything, because that's kind of what impressed us. That's what, sort of built this relationship. We had that Edgebander was crapping out. You were over here with your head in the Edgebander, no questions asked, no nothing, just, hands dirty.
Yeah, and in 30 seconds, it was putting on edge banding, which we struggled to try and get it to do just that. So, yeah, I mean, it's indispensable to have.
Well, that's what we're hoping to really bring to the plate. We have a couple other salesmen or techs as well. So going out in the field, they know exactly what to dive into. And, of course, a lot of heavy panel processing was a lot of my background. Not so much as the hardwoods. We did a little bit of stuff in the hardwoods, but most everything was pre-milled, and then we did assembly, things like that. But
just getting a machine like an Edgebander, there's a lot going on. And
there is.
As everybody sort of attests to, there can be a little finicky even, right off the boat.
Yeah, right out of the box. It's
the biggest $700,000 machine. They're Edgebanders when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
It's just, how much you want to run through them. And I mean, some of those monsters like the EMA that we sell through Shelling, and they're just incredible. They spit parts out so fast that but very high production.
Well, that's sort of what we were saying. What do we do? You are a big component of why we went with
I appreciate that.
The machine, the Sahisa and everything like that.
Well, I was dealing with Sahisa. I think our first Sahisa we put in like 94. And we had used these big old tanks that were called SCM B4Ls. And we used to just run a lot of this big, heavy 1.5-inch countertop work, and they were perfect for that. But trying to take that machine down to melamine, they just weren't designed to do. They were heavy. They could actually apply 3/4 thick wood edge.
Oh, man.
Yeah. We actually used to use those bases, and we would build other custom equipment out of those bases just because it had such rigidity.
I think I saw something.
Yeah, we built one that was like single partial double end tenator, had one side saw blades, and routers coming into one side, and then an adjustable saw blade on the outside. And I don't think people understood what it was in the auction, what they were doing. And the guy that actually came to pick it up, and he goes, I can do a lot of stuff with this, because he was basically, just sizing.
Mm-hmm.
And, you could control the track speed and everything on it. So you could tail that thing down to whatever you wanted to do with it. So it was.
We have a buddy, Matt Viz. He's up in Connecticut, and he has a couple of these like machines that some guy built. He's got like a double upcut saw, so it just trims both ends, and and he's in a I shouldn't call it a small shop, but small shop compared to a shop like yours, like a 2,500 square foot shop. But he's got that. He's got what does he have? That shaper that
he's got a couple of shapers
that were built from scratch, basically, like sliding table shapers and stuff that some guy just made.
Yeah, whatever you can dream up, we've actually modified and done.
That's what cool. Is it? It's like a shaper, and then it bores for dowels or something too, or maybe that's the double cut saw. I think it cuts both ends, and then it comes in and drills dowel holes. Yeah,
yeah, we do. Like, we do the Fromac line. We do quite a bit of that type of work because it can stepper it. So depending on what the parts are, we basically build those machines from whatever the job's going to do for it. So RT's it's a nice family run business. Ron and Eric are the main, and my son actually runs the service division.
Oh wow!
So he takes care of we have a rigging company within it, so we can do full setup, rig equipment out, set everything up. We've moved plants for people. So
that's another good resource.
Yeah. Yeah, because when we bought these machines, we were like, what the hell do we do about rigging? We call rigger. I mean, rigger turned out to be very expensive and really not necessary, because IRS just loaded those for us. But yeah, a one-stop shop is, especially for guys like us, we don't want to waste the time trying to figure out all of these different steps of something. If we can go to somebody that can help coordinate everything, then that's
take my heartache and adapt it to your business.
Right.
Yeah. Here's what not to do. I MF this and I MF that.
There's value there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping to bring to everybody. I'm a straight shooter, and
yeah, that was obvious.
Yeah.
Because like I said, you came in here, you worked on the machine, didn't hand us a bill.
Well, it's building trust, building relationships. Yeah. That's what it's all about. It's not just the next machine to sell. It's what makes the most sense for what your business is doing.
Right. And we operate the same way where, if we're at someone's house and they're like, this door over here, something that we didn't even do is it's not closing, take 15 minutes and fix the door. It's part of building relationship with your clients.
I used to drive my wife nuts every time we go to doctor's offices or restaurants, and I'm underneath opening the cabinet. She said, "Get the hell out of the damn cabinets." I said, "I want to see how they put it together."
Where'd you get that Posi drive?
the doors and everything, because nothing's.
See that's why they got the job. They saved all that money on that hardware.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, that's always the name of the game. It's finding out where you can cut corners or not cut corners or make it value added.
Right.
That
we've been trying to do that more and more.
Yeah, and it's difficult. I think with the network of shops that you guys have too, the more guys network together.
Yeah.
Utilizing the strengths of other shops. There might be somebody that's, used to banging boxes together. You might have a job that, we did it for years, Yeah. We'd send something off to a big cabinet. We had a lot of boxes, and then we did all the customs, and we made sure it was to our spec, and we did it that way to work into it.
Yeah. Yeah. We're thinking, with the Edgebander, since, we're not going to be running it a full shift every day.
Right.
Offer edge banding service. If somebody local, like somebody like the position that we used to be in the old shop, where we didn't have room for an edgebander,
right?
We would have gladly brought it to somebody, edgeband it, and then leave with edgebanded parts, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great value to push out there.
Mm-hmm. Talking about networking, we got that Domino, what was it, DF 700? Is that from our buddy Corey at CT Woodwork. We needed this tool that we don't have. And we said, doesn't Corey have that?
We had it here, and about 20 hours later, it showed up on the doorstep.
Yeah, texted him, messaged him on Instagram.
Hey, are you thirsty? Why don't you come over with a beer and bring that Domino's?
Well, he's in Patchogue, Long Island.
So. We sent him a shipping label, and it got here like lunchtime today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
and that's what really makes it nice when you have a network of people to work with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Plus, they get to see is it going to work for what we're doing in the future too.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Corey's got a Cantech 8-foot slider. I think he said it was coming Tuesday, but then it got delayed or something.
Yeah. He's got a nice shop out in Patchogue, so if you're ever out that far,
probably hitting them up.
Yeah, drop by.
I'm the new guy in Jersey and New York.
He's like us. He's got expensive taste. He's like, send me this Martin planer. He's like, I really want this planer, but it's $44,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's always a tough challenge, is where to put your capital that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
It really does. It's
yeah. Well, we're hoping the Edgebander opens up a whole different avenue for us as far as, doing
you're gonna wonder, how did we get along without it?
Yeah.
Is going to be the next big thing. And you're already thinking about it too, is, bringing other guys in to help them out.
Yeah. And, part of the whole move was pivoting the business a little bit to try and pick up some of these more, Euro style kitchens and commercial millwork to supplement, stuff like that yellow cabinet in there. There's a big price tag on it, but the profit margin it's nowhere near a commercial millwork job.
Right.
So to supplement what keeps us happy, basically, you have to take on these jobs that are, they're less technical and less challenging, but the profit margin's better. So,
well, I think the first day I was in here, you talked about the jobs that feed the soul and the jobs that pay the bills.
Pay the rent,
Finding that happy balance,
Yeah. It's like the starving artist thing, you want to make the art you want to make and live in, some dirty basement in Brooklyn, or, you're going to do that too. And then you take on the commissions. That's not exactly what you want to do, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. I always had that problem. If I didn't like it, I'd tear it apart.
Yeah.
Redo it,
So have you always been taking things apart and putting them back together?
Oh yeah. Yeah. The funny thing is my dad ran another business for 27 years before we started Crailing. And, so I grew up literally in that shop, and we actually did post-form blanks as well. So we had full post-forming lines, and as a little kid, I was hanging out in those lines, hey, let me do that, and my motor mouth, and it was nice because all the guys, and then I was cleaning the shop and stuff over there. I actually started working for my dad at 11. So, and I worked 3 days a week at that shop, and then we started Crailing, and so I was basically on home table saws at 8 years old. And my dad was
still
always
got 10 digits.
Yeah. Well, my dad was
up.
pretty cautious with that. We had, it was one of these, the little home saw was, I think my grandfather's old, I think it was maybe from the 30s, Craftsman, the combo joiner table saw.
Oh, yeah.
What else was on that thing? I forget what else was on
Does
it.
it have a lathe on it too?
That one didn't have a lathe. That one was, I think we just had I had a sander. So you had the table saw, joiner, and a sander off to the side.
All one motor running.
So we always built, remote control stuff. So I was always doing that kind of thing at home. And then, obviously when I got to school, I was already used to working in, the wood shop and doing all this stuff. So I diverted over to metal.
Yeah.
So in high school, I did basically full machining, welding, everything like that. So my love for cars and motorcycles just kind of stayed with me through all that.
Yeah. Is that how you got into hot rods and stuff like that?
Yep. And then once upon a time, I dated a girl who her father, most guys wouldn't know, but it's called Posey's Hot Rods.
Mm-hmm.
And he was pretty well-known builder.
Wow.
And so I got to hang out at their shop, while I was still motorhead and stuff like that. And learn my body working skills and some of this stuff, from them. Most of it's patience. It was funny. I'd go in there and one guy, Bryce, I'd go, man, I'm just beating my head. I got this door panel and, going into this quarter panel. And he just looked over and goes, see this door right here? I got 40 hours. I said, I got it. All right. I turned around and walked out because it basically what he was telling you is it took patience in your hands and feeling it. And I've been always kind of a wide open throttle kind of guy. My wife would always say, I don't know why you like to do body work. That's like, I said, because I can see the end picture, going to that finished product laying down, as a paint. So that's what always just kept me going.
So what'd you drive in high school?
Oh, I had an Oldsmobile that I wrecked. We were all leaving work one night, and of course we all worked at my dad's shop, and it was like a racetrack. Leaving the parking lot at night, everybody like burning down the highway, race, because we all lived out in the same neighborhood too. So, we're 10-mile race, home every night, which we had a good time. Well, pouring down rain, the girl pulled right across both lanes of traffic, and my buddy was in front of me. He saw her, put the brakes on, and I slammed right into her. Oh. So from that point, I was doing pickup trucks and that kind of stuff, motocrossing, and and then the hot rods came with. I did a lot of drag racing too, so we ran a nostalgic circuit for quite a while. I had a 63 front engine dragster full body deal we redid, and 65 fastback Mustang. So that was my nostalgic tour, But I always had to build everything. I never had the bankroll, so that's how I had to learn. So I didn't have I couldn't write the check for it. I had to figure out how to do it. We were married young, had kids young, so here I am trying to hang with guys that are 10 years older than me and figuring out how I got to do it. And that's really how my skill set developed, was I just was relentless, and it was nothing to be up still painting, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. My neighbor would come knocking on the door. Did you leave your fans on? No, I'm still working, Jim. Sorry, I'll be done soon. Please don't fire that car up tonight in the garage.
So you were loved.
Yeah, it was funny. My brother-in-law, he had a friend that lived right up the street. And he goes, "Your brother-in-law is the loudest freaking house in the neighborhood."
Oh man.
So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, bikes too.
I did. I had quite a bit of choppers and baggers and stuff. And my poor wife, I would put her on these custom 18 over springers, a little pillion pad on the back with, sissy bar. And I used to run. I was always a speed freak, so I always had like big stroker motors, 113s and stuff, and belt drive systems, on them, so I could really hook up and go. And I always ran race fuel on these damn things. So I'd pull, we'd go to car cruises and that, and I would take a chopper down and stuff, if I didn't have a car ready to go. And guys would pull up beside me and go, "What the hell do you got in that thing?" Because red light to red light, man, they didn't have nothing on that bike. But yeah, my buddies, they go, "I don't know why she just sits on that pillion pad," and we go, go bar hopping or what have you. And she goes, "Well, I can sit at home.
She's a good sport, let me tell you.
Or I can." So she endured that for a while, and then it was funny. I got a good line on a Ultra Classic. So I picked this Ultra Classic up. I already had all the motor work done to it, and I lucked out pretty good. So I'm taking her for a test drive. We're going up this mountain, and we're running 80 mile an hour up the mountain. She's back there with her Diet Coke and a bag of chips, and she don't even know we're doing 80 mile an hour. So she loved that bike. Yeah. That one I took out. I had 12-inch apes and stuff on that thing.
Oh, man.
Yeah, a bunch of us all drove out to Sturgis that one year, 2010. That was definitely soothing the soul.
Wow.
Ride. I came home by myself and ran an iron butt in 22 and a half hours. So that was
I had a hard time sitting in the van going to the Hamptons for 3 hours. My back still hurts.
So, yeah, my buddies had a nice bike shop, and they were in a lot of the magazines, and I was the painter, body man, welder, and I'd get a little blip because my shop was called BK Rods, and BK Rods did the, a half of a sentence, on there. I'm like, you fuckers.
There's a lot of crossover in like the woodworking to like hot rods and motorcycles. I feel like guys like Keith, he's big into cars and built a bunch of trucks, and Manny, guys like that. People like to build stuff and get their hands dirty and create.
It is. It's a lot of fun, and I've always found it relaxing. Mm-hmm. And of course, the kids always drove hot rods in school and stuff, so we were the oddity, where everybody was running the Toyotas and Hondas and stuff. And I built this.
Was those tuner cars?
Yeah,
was that
but
your era?
Well, that's not me.
Yeah, but
I'm still hot rod side. But the kids, my kids.
Oh, okay.
And that we built for my daughter. She was 15. We built a little F-150, 1980 step side short bed. I slammed it on the ground and put a nice little roller motor in it. And I literally built the whole thing out of a junkyard. So I was just slapping parts together because we were always at the junkyard scrounging parts and stuff. And she helped do everything in that. And I didn't give her any gears. She got no rear gears. She had like 275s. I put a stall converter in it under the C6, and it was a Mustang roller motor. So it sounded good, and pretty funny story. So I get this thing on the road, and she's driving the hell out of this. I don't know, who knows how many miles she put on this darn thing. But she ran out of gas a couple times. So then I was like, that's it. So I dropped the fuel tank, and I moved the sending unit up. So when it hit empty, I knew she had at least 6 gallons of gas left. And so shortly after, the flex, I had the wrong starter in it, and the Bendix wasn't going out the whole way. So it bitched up the flex plate. And I was like, look, I don't have time to yank the transmission out. So run up to Harbor Freight, get this socket set in a breaker bar, and you're going to have to crawl under the hood and turn it till you get a good spot. So her and her friend Kelsey, they'd pull in. One day they had this little place called Souders Mini Market and ice cream spot and stuff. And
oh, yeah, we've seen those places.
Yeah. And her and Kelsey are in there, these two little blondes, and the truck wouldn't start. So there's these couple of guys hanging out at the door, and they're laughing and being dicks, basically, Amanda hops up, pops the hood, comes out with her breaker bars. Kelsey slides over into the thing. Amanda crawls under there, gives it a quarter turn, zing, it's still zinging. Quarter turn again, fires up. And I told her, I said, anytime that thing fires up you give that sucker at least 3 good raps. And slams the hood. Kelsey pops over. Amanda gets in, and they said the boys' faces were just on the floor. They didn't know what to do.
They're like, I don't even know how to change a tire.
So yeah,
that's like when we got a flat in the van.
Oh man.
Yeah, my son, he was we were working on a 56 Ford for him. We chopped it and everything, truck, and he was pretty knee deep in that. And my brother-in-law had this jet boat, and Derek used to mow grass on these islands. We were big boaters, so we were always down there. He goes, Dad, I think I'd like to buy that jet boat. I'm like, well, yeah, cut a deal with it, and we'll bring it home. I mean, it had trees growing out of it. I mean, it was rough, our kind of special, So we ended up putting a big block together for it, scrounged parts at the Carlisle products and stuff like that, and so he got that on the water when he was 15 because he didn't need a driver's license.
Yeah.
So he's got this big block Chevy, and we did all this custom metal flake paint work on it. It was called the Aquaholic. So it was yeah. So I kind of brought those guys up right in with all the hot rod stuff.
Do you have anything in the garage now?
I still have my daughter's truck that we actually switched when she blew the motor up. We switched everything to big block because we were always big block Ford guys. So we actually, that's in there. It's got to be put back together, but it's all ready to go. Motor's built and everything's. And we kept my Derek's chopper. But right now I don't have any. My one buddy's just bugging the shit out of me. He's like, Craling, when are you going to do your own car again? And to be honest with you, it took the wind out of my sails. I was running the main plant, trying to run the hot rod shop. It was the worst thing I ever did. I should have never brought it into the main business because I was, it was one thing the wife never minded when I was out in the garage till midnight, but I was at home. But up here, now I'm at the shop still.
Yeah.
I got at the shop at 6 a.m. and I'm still at the shop at midnight. So that was the hard part, and then you couldn't get guys, just like everybody's dealing with today. Guys that can do everything, it's very difficult.
Yeah, and guys that can do stuff, guys that show up, guys that have the right attitude.
Yeah, we did some pretty high profile projects. We did it was called the Tuner Challenge with Scion Toyota, and we pitted an East Coast build against Midwest and West Coast guys, and we had a build group. Basically, I did all the interior work, and we had a guy that did all the body kits and the paint. Then there was a special guy, I can't remember their name, DC area. They built a custom one-off supercharger for this thing. And so we get to SEMA, and it was in a couple of things. So the Tuner Challenge, so we smacked that out of the park and won the Tuner Challenge with that.
Really?
And the West Coast boys didn't like it because who's all these no-name guys, out in the East Coast here that just like smoked them. And then we won Hottest Sport Compact of SEMA. And then we were in like the top 20 because we had custom wheels we built too. And so it was pretty neat. Then we did a thing for an E-Judge app, which was a Ford Transit van. So the Ford Transit van got dropped off right from Ford at my shop. And we did this complete custom diamond stitch interior for this, and there was all these crazy electronics and stuff that were in it for the E-Judge app. The E-Judge app was like they go to take it to car shows, and it's real time judging when all the judges are out, walking the cars. So that was pretty neat. I did some drifting cars that went out there the following year at SEMA. So we had a pretty good presence.
Wow.
I had a lot of guys in the industry that were knew us and trusted us with stuff. So
what's like your dream build, dream car?
I think I almost did it with my dragster. The dragster was a labor of love, all one piece aluminum body. It was the real deal. Of course we had to update the chassis a little bit, but nice little 406 in it power glide. We were running through traps 160 and a quarter, in this little hobby built car. The Mustang was no slouch either. That was like $120, $125, depending on how we were.
It reminds me, makes me think of this show that used to be on. I think it was called Pinks or something like that.
Yeah.
Where they race for pink slips.
Yeah. And it was it was low budget enough that it was intriguing. You know what I mean? Like it really was like two guys showing up to race and, race for their cars.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with it. Definitely had a lot of fun with it. But I did, I was working on, I wound that down like back in the 2000s. I actually built a wild Trans Am for Eric, my boss. So it's a totally one-off piece. I built a custom chassis for it, and it was a 79. It's got a 410 dart block in it right now, and we made the hood open this way. It's all complete. All new sheet metal. Basically, I salvaged from the windows up, and everything else is new.
Is it a T-top? Because that doesn't look much.
It is a T-top. Yeah, it is a T-top. So, yeah, it was quite the build. It took about 7 years to build it with everything that was going on. We got it in the shop, and we realized how bad it was.
Yeah.
And then we looked at, should we find another donor? The problem with those kind of years are almost everything's junk. So you could go spend $20,000 for something and still get junk. So I said, well, let's just run with it. I can do it,
I went to high school with a guy who had a 79 Trans Am.
Is that like the Smokey and the Bandit kind of era? Yeah. Yeah, those things are
Well,
sweet.
I was always a huge Smokey the Bandit fan. So I think I saw it 10 times in the theater, like in 77.
That's a great movie. We still watch it, the wife and I, like when it comes on TV.
So it was really, it was kind of a dream come true to actually build that car of an icon of, pop culture.
Yeah.
Which is.
Yeah, there have been a couple of shows based around, that car.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. They let me just run with it. And every car I did, I would do a crazy one-off sound system in them, because years ago I used to compete in stereo competition and stuff in the early days. And, so every car I did, had to one up it, you know, or depending on what the budget was, you know, I would try to fit everything in where I could. Yeah, it's a pretty crazy piece. So,
didn't Keith do something like that with car audio? That's why he has like those subwoofers laying around.
Keith like sold car audio, but I think Manny's buddy Brian, didn't he do some of the competitions or something?
Who did something.
Yeah. Because you were going to help him build a speaker box.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Or maybe it might have been Manny's other buddy, Ray.
Yeah. I was really into subwoofers and like the technology of the folded horn and all this other stuff. I mean, most of the things I would see in cars would be like direct radiators, just, you know, straight firing. But I was really into the technology, the physics of, you know, the folding and all that stuff.
We actually, my company before, we did for Claire Global.
Mm-hmm.
So we were building the speakers, you know, for them on couple of their product lines. And then we'd do the console cases and stuff that, you know, a couple of cool things we did last year. We did, you know, it was a custom, I forget what the name of the model was, huge case, but Kenny Chesney tore,
Oh,
you know, and all of them. And I mean, it's their whole facility down there. It's called Rock Lidditz in Lidditz, PA. It's incredible. They just, buddy of mine's the general manager down there, and just awesome. It was funny because we're big boaters and stuff, and Todd used to see all the equipment. He was the last one to see the stuff going out the door and the first one to see it when it came back. So he had to go through tests, make sure what went where, you know, what went into rebuild, that kind of stuff. And we had, it was probably 1988, and he had the test tape from Madonna.
Oh, yeah.
Coming back. So we had this test. We're out on the boat skiing and stuff. And he goes, I got this tape here. Let's pop that in. And she's freaking yelling at everybody. And I mean, just as crude could be. That was pretty cool. Go from the rock star stuff to.
Rob once had a girlfriend who thought he was going to leave her for Madonna.
Yes, it was right around that time frame. It was the late 80s. And, in New York, we were going to be the next big thing. We were courted by these major labels and everything.
Oh, nice.
And, you know how sometimes people, your spouse or girlfriend just goes off the deep end. She just was fixated on this whole thing. And like, that is one of the craziest things I've ever heard.
Madonna.
Yeah.
Well, might as well have been Princess Diana.
Exactly. The biggest star in the world.
Yeah, especially at that time.
Yes.
Yeah, all the girls at school were dressed up like Madonna and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or you had the Pat Benatar look or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
Too funny.
I can only imagine.
The crazy 80s.
I remember it well. Oh, man. So you've had your hand in a lot of different things through the years.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a lot of home building as well in my spare time. So I do my cabins and stuff we had up in the mountains, and so I had my last big project was we lived like in Pennsylvania they call them like townships or boroughs, pretty much the same type of deal, but it'd be like the same Middletown. They call it Middletown. That's where I live, but you'd still be Middletown, but you'd be out in the township part of it.
Okay.
And then she found this house in the borough that was sitting vacant for like 6 years. It was this 1933 Craftsman style home, and they had it all just destroyed. And so I had to bid on it through the government auction. And it was like the last night of bidding before it went to like investors. So I got my realtor lady there, and I'm pacing up and down the thing. I'm like, what do we put this bid in for? You know, it was a double lot. It was a real nice lot. So that's why I kind of wanted the thing to, go for that. And I put the bid. I'm thinking, I'm never going to get this thing. She calls me 10 o'clock the next morning. Hey, you won. I'm like, oh, shit.
Now what?
So, yeah, I built this. Everybody calls it you live on the house with the porch. And I built this crazy post and beam. It's 8 by 12. I mortise and tenoned everything. walnut pegs holding everything together. So the main structure is pine, and then I did these crazy banister rails out of lacewood.
Wow.
And then the tops and bottoms of the rails and the side runners are sapelli. The deck is mahogany. Then it has a New England style flare that I did radiused coming off of the base of the top of the thing, if you can picture it, going down off and then go straight down. So it has a cedar shake, and then I did copper inlays on the caps. So it's got how many, between the cedar and the...
No joke.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was, and everybody goes, would you build me one of those? I said, not in a million years. Everybody goes, how many hours you got that? I don't even know.
How deep are your pockets?
But, we like bird mouth everything on the miter, and it's all saddle going up and down the rails. So I had like 4 fixtures just to do that, going up the steps, both sides, a left and a right. So yeah, it was it was a lot of fun. I really enjoy projects like that. And, I have big 1700s flat forging chisels, half radius arcs. And until you work with some of the big stuff, you don't realize how crappy the little stuff is.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're able to just fillet off. Now this chisel's this long. It's 2.5 foot long.
Yeah.
With the handle. And I have different handles depending on what I'm doing. And you can just slide it in. It's really, really a nice way to do it.
Like a big slick, I guess.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was a good project. So definitely had my hands on a lot of different things over the years. And it doesn't happen in an 8-hour day for sure.
No, not at all.
Yeah. But yeah, that was always the thing. I enjoyed doing it. I just, from all aspects of it, I love learning the whatever you're doing, learning the whole aspect of it, and, coming up with, I'm working on a big diesel pusher motorhome right now that I literally stripped to an aluminum.
I was going to ask you what you had going on.
Yeah, so that's my latest. I got it almost finished. I actually just put the pictures up on, I'm on this Facebook page, RV Renovations, and it just like blew up because like nobody has seen somebody literally do a full sandwich construction. I figured out the adhesives. I did a bunch of testing and basically stripped it to the aluminum. They're 1 by 1.5 by 1.5, and then all new insulation where the plywood goes. I found where you could buy the Asdel, which a lot of the campers and motorhomes now use Asdel other than Luan. So it's a full composite. So it's a 2.7 millimeter, and it's not, it's waterproof. So I found the company in Lynchburg, Virginia, but they won't ship it. So all the companies around that use it, they have to send trucking in. So I went down and took the van down, loaded a whole pile of it up. It was like $15 a sheet.
Wow.
It's cheap.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I had to ask the lady. I was like, are you sure? She goes, well, let me go double check. Yeah, that's only $15. And I'm like, I couldn't believe it because you can't even buy a piece of Luan for that.
No.
Yeah,
and this stuff has like an R value to it, and it just lays nice. And then I redid all the aluminum skinning on the outside. So the whole thing, I got it almost all done. I got like 2 pieces of aluminum put on the other side, and I already built all new cabinets and all new countertops for it. So they're all ready to just go back in.
Wow. So you're going cross country.
Well, I fly giant scale RC. So my dad still builds. He's 87 years old. And so he'll do the frameworks on them. I do all the motor work and all electronics, and I do all the painting. So, and I'm the flyer. He never really
How big? What's the wingspan?
Our biggest glider right now is what's called a TG3, and that is 247 inch.
Whoa.
Damn.
Yeah, we're
So
flying.
what's that, 20
feet.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like my tow plane for the gliders, that's 222 cc 4-cylinder boxer engine in it.
You're kidding me.
Oh yeah, these are.
So you fly the glider up, then let it go.
Yeah.
And then
2
it
guys
just has a little rudder.
Yeah,
Well, and I guess all the.
Yep, all the, and I kind of got sucked in a few years ago. Like I've always been to RC and flying the giant scale stuff and building and stuff, and then I just out of the blue, I was like, hey, I want to go up to this glider competition up in Goshen, New York. just out of the blue. And a couple of my guys were like, "You're not going to like those. You're too like high energy for those guys and stuff." I fell in love with it. I got up there. Everybody was like inviting, totally opposite what everybody's telling me. And I was like, these guys are great. And I actually bought a glider that was used there and was at the very next event. And the guys were awesome. So we go.
Would the wings come off?
Yeah. Like that one is just 2-piece because I have a big enough van or trailer that I can carry it in. Like the tow plane, that's still 138-inch wingspan. You know, and then we have our sport planes and that are, 100-inch. Everything we kind of do now is like 1/3 scaling up.
Okay.
They just fly better, and in reality, the economics of putting everything together, it's really not that much more money,
right.
in the scope of what you're doing. So, yeah. But so we like to go to those events. So I had like a toy hauler and stuff, and we were using that. But the problem was I got 4 granddaughters now. And so I put bunks in this motorhome. And so now basically go on day trips and to those kind of events and stuff. And I can't afford a $200,000 motorhome.
So you built one.
So I built one, yeah. Yeah. We actually built our old race trailer years ago, too. So we had a 40-foot gooseneck that we built out of an old tractor trailer. Cut the bottom rails off and had a buddy of mine that he built the new frame for underneath it. We put new triple axle torsions under it, and we built like a living quarter in the front. And I could back my dragster in and hoist the dragster up, and then I'd pull my Mustang underneath it, and then we would go to the events and stuff with that. It's pretty cool. Everybody thought I had a $50,000 trailer for 10.
Sweat equity.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I don't know if I'm just stupid when it comes to I like the abuse, of the project.
Well, yeah, it's that satisfaction. It's the whole built not bought kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So all that stuff I enjoy, and
yeah.
I just saw, I was scoping out fishing spots, and there was Doorbrook Park maybe, where they had it was set on the map like RC plane area or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty popular. Actually, a lot of the places down in Florida, there's just whole communities that are based around RC flight line,
Really?
RC track. Yeah, it's crazy. Like Ocala County, that's all over down there.
That's where my grandparents lived, was Ocala.
Yeah, it's a nice area.
Yeah.
Weather's good. We have some friends that live down there because we go down there to the World Barefoot Center in Winter Haven. So we're barefoot water skiers. So
What part of the state is Ocala?
it's like
Was it hour south of Gainesville, something like that?
you're like over towards Orlando a little bit, but a little south. It's like the chain of lakes is there, like through Winter Haven and all that. That whole county is Ocala, I believe, is how it is. And then, it's a gorgeous area, and the weather's nice.
Yeah.
So you're not like my brother lives down in. He's in Point Garna, which is like Naples, Fort Myers area, and it's
hot.
Brutal. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember looking at a job in St. Petersburg in a wood shop, and I was like, "What's it like in the summer?" It's like, well, it's hot. Like what does that mean?
Yeah, it's brutal down there in the summer.
It was one of the things that sort of made me, step lightly.
So that guy with the dust tech, he just messaged me. He said, "Are you still interested in this? $600 and you got a deal."
Sounds like a winner.
Yeah. It's quite a risk.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah, so we had it was funny when I decided to close our shop down, and I had Ron, the owner of RT, come in and evaluate all the equipment, and he said, "Well, what are you going to do?" I said, "I don't know. I guess whoever wants me, I guess." And so he said, "Why don't you come on board with us?" So that's how it all.
Is that how you started with RT?
Yeah, but we've been friends forever. And it's funny because his dad, Dan Booz, was my equipment salesman from the 80s. So, I've known the family all the way up through. And Ron worked for a company, IRS Auctions that you bought off. It used to be Carpenter's Machine. And till they got rid of the Carpenter's Machine, just kept the the auction company. And that's who Ron had actually worked for. So it was a pretty good marriage. He's been in it forever and really has done well.
Well, how can people find RT Machine?
RTmachine.com is one of the easiest. And
the guys are on Instagram. So
yep.
Instagram is the big...
yeah, he'll do a lot of posting on Instagram as well as stuff that's just finished.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll do on the service side of things and the reconditioning.
Yeah, so they just put up like, what was it, a drawer clamp or something?
Yeah. And there was that Oliver bandsaw that was just finished up. You know, little flashes.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember when we were looking for a slider, and it was like, I remembered after we met you that I was on the website looking, but it's like to find a used slider these days, there's none.
No, it's difficult, and a lot of them are pretty beat.
Yeah.
Like
so that's why you don't see typically, like right now, we don't have anything, I believe, on there used unless it's a consignment or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're pretty picky when it comes to the sliders and whatnot.
Our buddy Tim bought an SCM sliding shaper from you guys.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, it must have been a couple of years ago, but he said it was great.
Yeah, I mean, the used market is really a great way to go, depending on what you're looking for and what your resources are. You know, depending on what your capability of working on stuff is as well.
Yeah,
you know, we get a lot of big shops that, you know, it's pretty late model machines that they already have that same machine, and they'll bring them in because they know the machine.
Yes.
Yeah,
you know, or have a stockpile of parts they've created. You know, some of these larger companies that we get into. That's what we find with that a lot of times.
Yeah, we learned a little bit about the slider when we got it because it was missing a few things, but it was all, you know, trial error. What the hell does this thing do? Why isn't this working? Hey, look, there's only one belt. There's two pulleys.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
There's no user manual. There's no user manual in existence. Even if you call Minimax, they're like, yeah, we don't have one for a 99.
Well, that's, you know, when you're buying from auction, you don't really know what you're getting a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, what we're doing, we're bringing stuff in, and we'll depend on how it is. Some stuff will sell as is, you know, depending on what it is, and others that are cleaned and checked, and then we sell full recondition.
Yeah.
So, you know, we give the options, you know, like, I think we just finished up Maureen Johnson, Gang Rip. That's actually just coming out of the shop right now. We're, you know, a new one with 2 moving blades and stuff. You're talking about a $200,000 machine, and the company opted to take theirs and recondition it, and I think brand new machine basically at like $90,000. So, but they had the base to work off.
Yeah.
You know, so it just depends on what it is. We have a huge Harman laminator in there right now, which is basically a melamine laminating press system. You know, it's a $2 million ordeal. We're doing a full recondition on right now.
So what, you put the core material in and it comes out the other side with...
Yeah, this thing's monstrous. It literally takes up, I think, end to end altogether is somewhere around 150 feet.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think pretty close with all the other.
How do you move
two shops
something like that?
Well, it's broke down, you know, into different parts of it. So we just bought another one that we have in stock as well.
Jeez.
And this one we had purchased in a company that had another one. Problem is Harlan Laminator was sold, and Patrick Industries bought them. So they won't sell to any competition. They bought it for themselves. So when we get the stuff, now we have control that we can sell it to people that are, you know, in that. Yeah, it's quite interesting. I mean, I think we should probably do like an updated. We just moved the shops around quite a bit right now, so because of some of these, the magnitude of the size of some of these projects.
Yeah,
you know, we moved that into a bigger area, so we have it knocked down to where something comes in, it's tested. We decide, you know, pictures and stuff are taken, and then we decide, you know, get an evaluation. Okay, is it? Here's what the price would be as is. Here's what the price would be reconditioned, or it needs these items.
Yeah, you got to go through it and figure out the cost of.
Yep. And then we have a complete machine shop in house. So everything that we're ramping that up right now, even larger, but just because of the capacities, you know, we have stuff out to other shops and they just can't keep up with the lead times. And then, So we're able to control the quality.
And you can make all the parts that aren't available.
Yeah. So we have some pretty talented crew.
Yeah, that's
on the
pretty
machining
cool.
side too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like-
My son's background is he's got a bachelor in manufacturing engineering. Plus, he grew up under my tutelage, so he's he's had his hands on everything.
Yeah.
But overall, it's a couple buddies that actually work for him now, engineers that came on board with him, because of all the different magnitude of projects. We rebuild controls for units, so stuff that's outdated or a complete line, we'll make a full set of controls that controls every piece of the line. So that's something is very unique that most people can't offer.
Yeah, I'll say.
And customize the lines. So we definitely bring a very unique package to the table for sure.
Yeah, that's cool.
And from all the way down to the smallest.
Yeah, what's
item.
the smallest stuff that you guys do?
Typically like our, the smaller Oliver, North Tech, on those type of machines. We have a couple other lines there. We can do like the Laguna as well, just depending on what, I actually just quoted a Laguna dovetailer the other day. And of course you can go all the way up to full CNC dovetailers with Marine Johnson that you're talking $75,000, $80,000. So, just depends on what the workload is.
Yeah.
It's got to do with it. Yeah. So it's pretty much everything in between, and then we buy used equipment as well. The biggest problem is a lot of times some of the used equipment that somebody has in their boneyard, some of it's worthwhile. You never know until you look at it.
I think I know somebody with an Edgebander.
Yeah, we gotta,
I think we evaluated.
it's working great.
Just needs a little tinkering.
Well, you know what though? Something like that, if somebody is willing to put their sweat equity into it, but as well as I do,
Yeah.
your resources are slim.
Yeah,
It's the two of you, and you got to decide,
Yeah.
do I want to spend 6 hours on this? And
No, we want
And
the
then it's still gonna be
Edgebander to
a pain, yes.
Edgeband.
yeah, and that's the.
You want to be able to bid.
And like I said before, I don't think there's too many salesmen out there come by and can tune it for you.
No.
Yeah. I mean, even,
I think there's only one.
yeah. Lou, who, he has experience on this exact Edgebander. It's been probably 20 years since he's run it, and like Corey and a couple guys who had actually run this Edgebander, like we couldn't get it running.
Yeah.
Put
I'd
on
get it
Edgebanding at all.
Yeah.
That's what I said. We're going to put your card inside the cabin, so when somebody buys it, they know who to call.
5% discount on the glue. Oh, by the way, I got you. We're setting that up with the 280.90, and so free bag of glue is coming with
Oh,
that.
cool.
Oh,
I said, Kurt, I want it set up like this, and this is what I want. I've known Kurt for a long time at Sahisa.
Yeah, actually, Sahisa was. I was going back and forth with him a little bit on Instagram. I guess it's some guy out in Spain,
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just actually talked to one of the techs back when Kurt and I were going over your machine, actually, and we were going back and forth a little bit on the corner rounding and how I wanted it to really be set up for you guys. And so it was good. Yeah, great guy over there. He's very knowledgeable.
Cool.
He's been at the plant forever. And
see, that's the stuff that you don't get when you just punch in your order on the computer.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's
like the guy from Elite Metal Tools, which is they sell some machines and stuff online. And we were looking at a Cantech. It's one of those things where it's like you got to request a quote. So request a quote, and then inevitably they call you when you don't respond because we're just window shopping anyway. This is going back a couple months, and I'm like, we actually ended up going with the Sahisa. He's like, I actually sell those machines. I'm like, yeah, but it wouldn't have been the same, you know?
It's not.
No, and that's the value added service that we're.
Well, we talked about it because this is a huge purchase for us.
It's monstrous.
And we weighed the value. Basically, what's Brian's value here?
Oh, nice.
And all of this in this endeavor, because it's not just buying a machine.
Yeah.
Right. It's after.
It's like a sport bike or something,
We were looking at that BAC, and then it was like, I could buy this guy's got this Ferrari for a really good deal, but there's no shops in this entire town that work on Ferraris. Like, then what good is buying it,
Well, it's funny because I just had, now we because we sell used as well. So, I got to be careful sometimes. But no, they're good machines. They were never known for their Edgebanders. Around their CNCing processes and stuff, that was always their strong point, as far as them. Because I looked at them and I ran them, and one thing that, I'm kind of bringing to the plate as well is, with all the years I've been in business, I used to drive around. I'd take my product and drive cross country and run it on whatever machine I was going to be using. I didn't want to just do little 12-inch sample pieces and stuff. I want to, like, we were running, all those elevator panels. I was taking basically 4x8s of a 3/8 banded. It's got a cup to it, and we're going to run that through the machine. Well, it threw a lot of guys for a loop. They're like, well, we can just run these. I'm like, no. I'm backing my truck up, and we're going to run what I brought, and that's what I did all the years. So I have a lot of background in even the highest end machines, when you get into the contour banding and stuff on full, basically point to points. I ran those machines as well, looking at, bringing them into my plant at different times. So, yeah, I was definitely a stickler for knowing the nuts and bolts and how it's going to work and progress over time too.
Yeah.
Because it's a machine when it comes down to it. Every machine's going to have something, but it's the reaction to getting over that, because you can't afford to be down.
Yeah. No.
That's the biggest hurdle,
Yeah, it's like that in our business too. Things can go wrong, so to speak. It's always about how you respond.
Exactly.
With the client.
Exactly.
How you fix things.
Yeah, well, we tried to get those wall units in on Monday.
Yeah.
And it's a bumped out fireplace.
I forgot all about it already.
2 niches on either side. So we have these wall units that go, they go in. We built the face frames loose, and the cabinet boxes are an inch smaller than the opening.
Yeah.
We didn't want the stiles to be too big, so whatever, we just made it a 1/2 inch on either side. Well, they cased the trimmed opening right next to it, and on the other side, there's a door going outside. So all of a sudden, the geometry, we couldn't get it in there.
Which is it had some really big.
The back band, was like 1 3/4 deep or something. Yeah.
So huge.
Yeah, we were in trouble.
So power planer, knock the corners off, and you get it in there.
Got it in. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the name of the game, being able to react to it, stand back a little bit, and
They even told us, just take the molding down. We'll put it back up. And Jeff got up there and he was like, it looks so nice. I don't really want to take this guy's work down.
It was glued.
Yeah, because that's usually the one thing where you're just like, it's stuck just a little bit, and the whole thing rips in half. There you go. It's like
because it was flat stock with a butt joint and then a mitered back band around it. So it's not, and it's nailed this way. Through the back band, it was never
wasn't intended to come apart. Or
no, and they did a good job.
Easily.
When you see nice trim work, which this is the Hamptons, so you hope that it's gonna be nice. But most trim work you see is real shoddy. Yeah. But this was nice and tight. I'm like, I really don't want to destroy this guy's.
Yeah, because trying to put something back together like that sometimes is very difficult if you can get it cleaned up. And I know a lot of guys use a lot of adhesive anymore. And very little fasteners to get some of this stuff done. And
yeah, it's insane. We job we did recently, the one in Seabright. I'm pulling off the baseboard to put in the cabinets. A ton of little short nails, but nothing hit a stud anywhere.
Yeah,
it's like the guy just shot in a nail, and he's like, "All right, 16 inches from here," but never clipped a stud at all. Like, oh my god! I mean, when I started out in residential carpentry as a finished carpenter. And my boss, this is only at the latest 10 years ago, we would still go back and hand nail everything. So we would shoot everything in with a gun, PL glue on the backs of all the trim, yellow glue on all the miters, and we would go back and hand nail with 10-penny finish nails,
nice.
Baseboard, crown molding.
He was old school.
Yeah.
He was old school. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because really on a lot of the nail guns today, they're not designed as a full holding the trim through.
Yeah. It doesn't push. It doesn't, clamp the way a hand nail does.
When you set a real finish nail, most guys are like, what are these?
Yeah.
Well, this is how it was done, and it worked really, really well for a long time.
It's a typewriter.
Yeah.
Well, it's scary going back to hand nail crown molding when you got it up there. It looks,
Yeah, it looks good.
You have to be real careful because, and it'll hurt you because it'll suck it tight. Where you can fudge it and it's a little off, and the miter looks good. And then when you put that hand nail in, it sucked it tight to the wall, and then all of a sudden you're open over here.
Yeah.
So it puts you into check.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, with the new products out there as far as adhesives, it's made life a lot more forgiving. And a lot of stuff works really well. I mean, it's...
Yeah, we used our share of it on those beams.
Yeah.
Getting them all.
A lot of adhesive.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no substitute for PL glue.
Over the years I did a lot of glue testing with Wilson Art.
Oh.
So being that we did so much flat laminating and stuff that we were always on the test bed, depending on if it was a contact adhesive or an EVA or a PVA that we were working with, and if they had a new product, they would send it up in the Label X can to me. And, well, we had some pretty good regional guys that put a lot of weight in us. They trusted our opinion, and we would run it through a series of tests, and that's how we kind of got to being that test guy through everything. And then years ago, National Casein went out of business, but I had worked with a chemist over there. He used to come into the shop, and I'd show him what I'm trying to do with the glue spreaders and stuff, and what kind of viscosity and things we needed, and like the initial tactability, and he would tweak stuff, and it was a great relationship. And I was sad to see when they actually closed up. I don't know if they were bought out by another company and just dissolved the National Casein. A lot of times that's what happens. But yeah, we had a lot of good with them and with the Wilson Art as well.
So you had machines that would apply and spread the glue.
Yes.
And then
powered roll coaters. And then we did a lot of different stuff with spray contacts. So not only through the flammables, all the water-based adhesives, and then some of the specialty contracts, like to give you an idea, the 3310, which is a great assembly glue that we ran through the tests and came up with the spray equipment to spray it. So when you're doing like multiple sheets of like MDF and you're bending something in a radius, because that glue had enough elasticity to it, but it had the bond strength that really bit in because it had a little bit longer open time. So it really set in. So we would put stuff in these fixtures that we built. We'd spray each side, pop them all together. It'd be like 4 sheets at a time in a thing. And then these clamps, and just unbelievable. So the spray equipment, when you look at 3310, that's Crayling Industries that came up with that spraying equipment. So yeah, I mean, I just always enjoyed like the hurdles, to figure out and usually what I gave them was the window of operation. So you can have a 2-inch window of operation, or you can have a 5-foot window of operation. And depending on what you're doing, and there's a lot of great adhesives. The biggest problem is that salesman that's selling it to the correct shop. You need to go into that shop and you need to find out what their temperatures are in that building, if they're going to adhere to those temperatures, and are they going to pay attention to that tight window? So that's usually what dictates a lot of times on the adhesives that should be used, and depending on the application you're trying to go up against. So that's one of the key factors with the adhesives, which, I'm more than happy to help anybody with getting over that hurdle, of different flatbed laminating. We laminate a lot of panels.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly Tom used, just like your typical propane tank looking contact adhesive.
Yep. And there's so many of those out there right now, and everybody kind of has that product, between Formica and Wilson Art, and it makes it as an easy, but what you have to remember is a propellant on that. And then you have to look at what the carcinogens are. That's one of the other big things.
To high heaven.
Yeah. So some of those you really want to look into on the MSD sheet.
I have a buddy out in Arizona, Grant. He uses that Wilson Art H2O, I think it's called.
Great glue.
Yeah, he likes that a lot. Yeah. He buys a Harbor Freight cup gun and just sprays it on.
Yeah, we actually were in the beginning stages back in early 90s developing that glue. So when they were coming into that, and we actually had one of the first, I had it custom built out in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was a Midwest drying tunnel. And so I had a conveyored operation, 8 foot wide. And we used to run all these full big countertops, down through this. And so we would take that glue and then tweaked everything with them until we've really found a nice product with it. That's actually been one of the really good glues, but like anything, it's proper use.
Right.
Like the biggest thing that we find is people will spray it too heavy and then they'll try to flash dry it and then they trap the moisture. So it's dry on top, but you'll see a milkiness underneath it. Once you trap that, it takes forever for that to go away. If you're lucky, it'll bite into the core and be okay. A lot of times what will happen is you'll get a bubble or a D-lam because you've had so much moisture trapped in there. And so what we would do, we were spraying and then we're running through the drying tunnels and then it would get laid. Then it's going through a pinch rolling process. So it had consistent pressure through the big, large pinch rollers and stuff. So, and like in our high production lines, that's kind of how we handled that with the contact.
Yeah, it beats doing it with a J roller.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and there's some of that you can never get away from, but you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like whatever how lazy he's feeling that day to just make it look like he's going through this and there's no real pressure going on.
Tom had those little palm ones. It's just like a block of wood with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't get any pressure with this thing.
Yeah. There's actually quite a bit of technique to the rolling.
Yeah.
I bet.
And actually, when you get into some of the wider rollers, you actually lose pressure, though you think you're getting more, but now you've just distributed your wrist weight, and
right. It's like walking in grass with sneakers or high heels. What's gonna go through the grass?
Exactly. So yeah, I had a lot of fun over the years. I mean, helping develop a lot of stuff, and just different processes, and traveling around the country, and
that's cool.
Learning it.
I mean, elevator panels are everywhere, I guess.
I was delivering it, went all over the world.
Yeah.
Probably most of our product was North America, but we had a lot of stuff that went out as well.
Yeah. People, even that aren't in the trade, they could notice these things because they're everywhere. You walk in every elevator, it's made up of these, wood or veneered panels.
And one of the last projects we did is we're using a special Rusco glue that's designed just for this process. It's only made for that process for M. Schindler. And it's a flammable contact that we're gluing right to the galvanized and to the laminate right to the actual structure of the elevator. So they ship all the panels into us and we glue everything up. It's a special wipe down process we do before on the metal, and then goes through a spraying and heated dry tunnel and then through assembly. So
it's integral to the elevator instead of
correct. So like where you have the hung panel scenario where you already have the whole steel of the structure, and it's uses like a bow tie nylon nut that all just slides onto the panel or onto the metal panel itself. That is part of the whole elevator.
Interesting.
Well, and they're trying to come up with cost-effective ways.
I was going to say, is that a way to save money?
An economy on it, and and I think down the road, if they redo the panels or whatnot, they just hang a panel on over it.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say when that gets messed up, then you just go to it's like you get two for one.
So I'm
it's
not
like putting
quite
the new roof over the old roof.
Yeah. So we used to do a lot of just locally we would do retrofits.
Yeah, we were talking. I think we might have been talking about it on Monday. We did a job in Hoboken, and the super was like, "Do not mess up my elevator." They're like get manic about it.
Oh yeah.
Well, we almost had to walk up 8 flights.
It's very costly if something happens to those, especially when you got those union elevator guys in there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're like the mafia from what we hear.
Yeah. I worked in the city for a couple of years and in New York, and getting to the apartments was always the you had to negotiate, and I mean it was like a whole crew of people that you had to pay, as they say, grease.
Yeah.
We did exhibit work. I was quite younger then, but So we would ship to these shows all over the place. And a lot of times we were shipping to Chicago shows. So for my dad would always have the truck loaded up, grease money.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just to get through the gate, to get unloaded, to get the guys on the forklift, to get you unloaded, till you could actually, once it was in your booth, you could put it together. But everything in between that, you're talking about $1,000.
Yeah. Because when you're working in an apartment in New York, you're there all day, you know, for weeks.
Yeah.
So you have to have access. You have to have you're bringing things up and down, and you need that special relationship.
We were working on the 23rd floor in this condo units in Baltimore, right on the water. I mean, literally when you're looking up, you couldn't see the concrete under you because it was just all looked like water. But we were doing these solid surface countertops up there, and the backsplashes were full length. We didn't piece them. I couldn't get them in the elevator.
Oh.
So I sent the tools up in the elevator with the elevator guy, and he gets up to the top, unloading. My helper was up there, and he said, "Your boss ain't going to be very happy. He's got to come up 23 flights of steps with those splashes." God. So I'm like going up around the stairwell. I mean, oh my God, that was brutal.
Yeah, we had an 11-foot like hanging media console, and it went from corner to and I'm trying to draw the elevator in Fusion and place the cabinet. I'm like, I think it's gonna fit, and we were gonna have to walk it up otherwise. Thankfully, it did.
Yeah, we've already made stuff in pieces just to spend more time assembling the darn thing.
Yeah,
if it was that big. Of course, you don't ever want to have to do that, but
no,
some of those instances,
we finished this one, and then I was like, shit, this is going to Hoboken. And we had never been to the job site. It just came from a designer. And
it was
when
an
we showed up,
afterthought.
the drawings were like completely wrong. She's got like 10-foot ceilings. Ceilings are like 7'6".
Yeah.
It was like
we had to trim everything. And
oh, jeez, yeah.
There was like outlets where there wasn't supposed to be any outlets. It was
always.
Yeah.
Oh, theirs are there. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah. The designers don't use tape measures.
No. Well, we were talking about before, like, value engineering stuff. This big job we sent out, like some bunch of commercial stuff. It's like 50 something, whatever. They're like, all right, the client's budget's 30. And I'm like looking at the, going through and making what changes I can. I'm like, I can't bring this down $20,000. I'm like, there's not that much meat on the bone. And B, it's like, I already gave you asked for the bare minimum, like the cheapest way. I already gave you the cheapest way.
Rule number 1, you always got to keep 15% in your pocket.
Yeah.
To negotiate.
Yeah.
But everybody wants,
like, I took all the backs off the cabinets. Like, unless, you want to pay somebody else to install it, we could knock some more money off. But
yeah, and that itself can be huge.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just trucking, like you talked about, going over the Hamptons, the tolls, and everything that goes along with it. It's
sometimes people think they're saving money, and then they wind up spending more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
It's just the way it is, because you wind up, the economy of scale. We pass along a little bit of savings,
right?
For our labor and stuff like that, because we're already involved in the project. Somebody that's coming in from the outside, they're going to charge a premium.
Yeah, they're looking at full startup here at the job, so it's a whole different animal.
Half the battle is just becoming acquainted with the client. You know what I mean? Learning what they like, what they don't like, all the idiosyncrasies that they have. So if we already know the client, well, then it's that much easier for us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, earlier today when I went down to our other customer there with the door sander. So, like right now, I'm picking up samples, running them at the shop, tweaking it, messing with the heads and the paper and seeing what we can dial in for. I just brought another load home for Friday. I'll run for them. But that's the little stuff that, we're willing to go that extra mile and make sure that everything's going to be right before, we got over the hurdle. I got in the door first, and
and people keep coming back when you offer that level of service. It's not just like, it's not like we said, all right, we're gonna do the Edgebander, and then we never heard from you again. Which, I mean, that's what happens.
It happens a lot.
Yeah,
but No, I got one right now. We're working on a molder, and I'm gonna, pull samples because they're concerned about chatter and stuff. And half the battle is what's out in the marketplace and what somebody's trying to oversell. That's the worst thing. I think oversell something and it can't perform when it hits the floor. That's really letting the customer down.
I like that. Yeah, that's like that would be my biggest fear with a job would be to deliver it and the client thinking, oh man, this is not like what I thought it was going to be. I was expecting
talk about a punch in the gut.
Yeah. That's not a very comforting one.
Yeah. Thank goodness we usually get the, oh my God, look at that.
You exceeded our expectations. Yeah. That's what you want to hear.
Yeah.
So as we move forward with stuff, I'm hoping I can help a lot of guys out.
Yeah, that would be cool if you get a couple of referrals, people listening to the podcast.
Yeah. What's the, we know your region is sort of like New Jersey, Long Island, everything, right?
Yep.
How far does RT Machine service?
We actually go cross country.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had different things where, wherever it's like we have guys in Alabama this week.
Oh.
So, we're down into Florida. Hell, we cleaned a plant out in Wisconsin. Our guys were out there for 8 weeks.
Wow.
And, it was an auction deal and we did all the rigging out of the auction, but we had to clean the whole plant out. So we were responsible to take all the wiring and everything out of this plant. It was a flooring plant. So, it just depends on what it is. We bid just about anything that's
cool
into our realm and makes sense,
How big is the facility?
We're 80,000 square feet, and we are actually looking to expand quite a bit. So
with the sounds of those,
we're on 25 acres up there. So
wow,
it's
how far from here? It's near O'Shea, you said, right?
No, O'Shea's down by York. We're actually Hughesville towards Williamsport.
Oh, Williamsport.
Yeah, so we're like 25 minutes south of where Hughesville, Muncie area.
That's close to Grizzly.
Right down the road from where Grizzly was.
Yeah.
Yeah, they closed that whole
facility. Closed it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a huge, beautiful facility up there.
Yeah.
It just didn't make sense for their distribution.
Lycoming College?
Yep.
Yeah, I've been to Lycoming.
Yep.
Bet you weren't ready for somebody to bring that
up. Yeah, I don't know which way you guys would come across there. Like I come out 78.
So is it northeast Pennsylvania?
We're like north central.
Yeah.
We're starting to get over.
What's another landmark city or town?
Bloomsburg. It's not big. I'm trying to think what else would be.
It's not like Lancaster area.
No. We're going to be. I'm trying to think what else would be. So if you're coming across 80, you'd come through like Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. I think it's about an hour.
Oh, okay.
From us, but I'm just trying to think which is the best way from here breaking up and over. Like I run 78 out because it's fast, then would shoot up through.
Mm-hmm.
But so I would say it's probably 3.5 maybe from here.
Oh well.
But like I'm in Jersey every week, so
yeah.
From my house, it's not even 2 hours. Running around. Marking my territory.
We gotta. We're
peeing on every door.
Yeah, I'm gonna say we're lucky with our commutes. I think I'm up to 4 miles now.
If I make all the lights, it's like 10 minutes in the morning.
Yeah,
that's not bad at all.
Yeah, it all depends. It's funny because it's such a short commute. I turn left onto 36, and that first light, I'll be red, and then it's green all the way up to Main Street, and then you catch the first 2 green and the second one red.
Yeah,
and that's the way it is every morning.
See, when I go on to I go down Leonardville, I make a right onto Main Street, Belford, and then I make a left on a 36. If I don't get on it real good, as soon as I get on a 36, I hit all the red lights. So I got to really get on it and get through the light at Main Street, Port Monmouth.
Yeah, I go, speed limit's 50. I probably go about 50, 53 or whatever. It hits all, Get all the green lights.
I'm doing about 75.
Creatures of habit.
Yeah.
Yeah, this morning I was trying to fill in some other stuff, but I just couldn't find anything that was without backtracking from my first job, so I just waited a little bit later and came out today and hit down around Asbury as well.
Oh,
A
yeah.
lot of shops are closed up.
Yeah.
You know, that's half the battle. Our area wasn't serviced, out this way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty much in uncharted territories for a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, Tom's brother had a shop in, I think it was in Asbury, right?
Yeah, I think
he
so.
shut down. Andrew Grossman, did you go to him?
I won't know over there yet.
He,
the upholstery guy?
yeah.
Yeah, I was
But
there
he's
today.
got CNC and everything. They
Yeah.
do a lot of banquettes.
Yeah, I was there this afternoon, actually. The one guy I needed to talk to was out, but
My
looks
old
like I had a
helper-
fair amount going on with the upholstery work and everything.
Yeah. My old helper, Leilani, this woman, she was the best helper I ever had. She works there. She's great.
Yeah, I was really odd that there were so many shops that I was hitting dead ends with,
Mm-hmm.
from different lists that I have and, trying to just clean that up.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who else is out this way. You got Wind River, who moved over to Fairhaven. I reached out to them. They just bought a Laguna Bandit. I don't know which size. I know they have a couple different
The Edgebander?
sizes. Yeah.
Those are coming out of the Nanjing plant.
Sounds high end.
Nanjing's actually pretty big.
Yeah.
But they used to be badged under Gibbon, is what it was. But I'm pretty familiar with those machines as well. I spent a bunch of time on them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Edgebanders seems to be like my...
Yeah.
I don't know how that ever happened, but...
Hot Rods and Edgebanders. That's going to be the title of this episode.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, we have, we had a couple flatbeds, verticals, point-to-points. So we had pretty much everything that was around the realm and knowing what can fit a marketplace and what type of work people are doing. I'm always a big fan of the point-to-points as well, just because you can do a lot of stuff. A shop that doesn't have, per se, a very square panel saw.
Mm-hmm.
You can rough cut everything or have a vertical. That's one of the other nice things with it. So if you have a vertical saw, if you're really tight on space and going to a point-to-point, you just do a trim cut all the way around it. So one of the key features with that is you're not burrowing all the way through when you're running nested base. So the biggest challenge with nested base is the tooling, and a lot of this stuff you have to run compression bits on, and the peak between the two compressions is what gets beat up first. So typically that's where you'll start to see like a line on the panel, and then you have to address that. So what starts to happen, and we see a lot, is guys are running dull tooling, and then they try to make up for it at the Edgebander with the pre-mill. So the biggest problem you have there is, okay, if you have a hiccup on the banding and you've already pre-milled off, if you're doing 1 millimeter, what have you, that panel's now junk because your drillings and everything are already on there. And so that's one of the biggest problems that you see. And so if you have a couple hiccups in a day, now to reintroduce it on the flatbed, now it becomes an issue because now you're trying to just put one piece on there, or you're going to put just a full sheet up and knock out a couple pieces, and then put this half sheet up, and does it get reintroduced at one point? Yeah, it just depends. I mean, there's a lot of high speed stuff running that's, auto load, auto offload, and it works great. It just depends on. I'm just always a fan of a panel saw. That's my first priority. Although we have flatbeds, which you need the flatbeds as well. But when you really get into building a lot of boxes or controlling, you're cutting square parts on a saw.
Yeah.
Where, a lot of parts that aren't getting machining, after the fact, or they're getting horizontal machining or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way we look at it too. The table saw and the bander.
For cabinet boxes, it would take more time to program it. I mean, even with, something like Mosaic or whatever, where it's kind of just whatever, than it would to just walk to the saw and just start cutting it up,
Well, and that's where you have to look at, the economies of your time.
Mm-hmm.
The scope of things, that's what people usually start to lose. okay, how much time did I just now spend working on something else that I could have been productive on? And that all goes depending on what the job is.
Yeah.
There's no like one single answer, I believe, that says, oh yeah, everything's got to go this way, or everything's got to go that way.
Yeah. Especially with the cut hardware, or software, I guess it is, where it tells you, how to maximize the sheet stock and everything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that really helps.
Yes.
The saw operator.
Yeah. The optimization is.
Yeah. That's what
key.
I was looking for.
Yeah. Definitely when any type of sawing operation, if you can introduce a optimization, because you know how it goes. You guys are getting 1,000 things going through your head. And now you're over here trying to cut the job. What did I just cut?
Yeah, we use a free online thing called OptiCutter. You just punch in, dimensions. You can select your grain direction.
Yeah.
And it says, okay, cut 6 sheets just like this, cut 4 sheets just like that, cut 1 sheet just like this.
Yeah.
It takes all the human error out of it.
Exactly. Yeah, and with, like you said, that's a free program.
I know.
So it's
I mean, it's unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
Even a big job, like we bid a kitchen. This lady paid for a kitchen and the guy stiffed her.
No.
It was like 9 months later. She had paid the guy like $30,000. I don't know, it was whatever deposit or something. He said, I don't have your money and I don't have the kitchen.
Oh,
so she reached out to us to price it out. Even like extrapolating the parts on that and plugging it in just to get a material list, like a quantity. I mean, it didn't take very long at all. And that was going through plans and, having to make a list off of somebody else's drawings.
Well, like you said, the Mosaic program, that's a pretty good program for very budget-minded.
Yeah.
And to be honest, today, unless you're doing something, you got to go into Cabinet Vision, which, a lot of shops run, and there's nothing wrong with the program. You can link multiple things together. But, I know a very big shop up in Pennsylvania, Northway Industries, and they have the best of the best equipment and still have problems getting posting to new equipment. So nothing's just a plug and play per se. There is some things that kind of go smooth, but there's a learning curve to every step of it.
Hopefully they'll still need people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just something about this industry. It's like they won't let us have anything easy. It's like always got to be a little. We have all this automation, but it's not going to work perfect. There's still going to be.
The headaches are. They can be. Well, actually, I'm going through that with a customer in a molder right now. They're debating on. He does do a lot of smaller run stuff, but typically what they run is 1,500 to about 3,000 feet on their runs. But do I spend the extra 6,000 and do full servo controls? But the problem with that is the back end has to be your front end of that. You have to have everything dialed in of your cutter. So everything has to be measured correctly on your cutter. So if something was sent out, sharpened, then, comes back on. If you didn't put that in exactly, you're still going to be fuddling around. Where like he says he has all of his samples and he writes down all his spec right on the back of that sample test piece. So then he goes in and says, oh, click, click, click. There's only really a couple things he's got to move for it. So I think he's going to stay with the more manual setup just because he's so used to it. And I think once he gets a new machine as well, he's going to see just how much easier because he's running an older machine. The backlashes are out, So it's like one of those things. I got to go 3 turns out and half a turn in, to get it right. So yeah, it's and that computer throws one more aspect in. Will it do? Absolutely, but are you going to get that benefit out of it? And is that going to help you really? If you have a peace of mind, if you feel comfortable staying in that zone, and you're not really going to get a lot of added value. No, I could see if he was going to say, oh man, I'm running all these things. They're like 300 feet jobs. Yeah. Then that definitely makes a lot of sense. Cause now you're jumping around all day long, and setting up tooling and whatnot. And that makes a big difference. And then today you have a lot of stuff with HSK tooling and stuff too. So that makes it a lot easier because that's basically a CNC chuck that you're popping into your molders.
Huh.
So
yeah, molders that's That's not even anything we've ever even thought about.
How, I guess, is it the knives that are still the most important element?
That's pretty much your biggest, and there's all types of different tooling, for them, and depending on what level you get up to. I ran some smaller motors for a couple of specific projects we did, and we had all diamond in it because it never changed and it did the same process all the way through. So something like that, you can go, but the diamond cutters are very expensive, and you got to be running a lot of that profile. We just happen to be running a high pressure laminate on an MDF with basically a miter lock assembly, and it had to be super precision. And, we would get 6-8 months out of a set of cutters before sharpening.
Wow.
So, and then we only ever had to adjust outboard side. Inboard side always stayed the same, so that wasn't too bad. And we just made an adjustment on the outboard side of it.
Yeah, having dedicated, whether it be a machine or whatever for one task is like always the way to go,
Yeah. Well, and that's what we had, different assembly lines. So we had just specific equipment we built just to do that one process, and that's all it did all day long. So if we had, over the years we built actually a lot of custom equipment in it. That's what's nice with having RT Machine, because we have that. I was fortunate years ago. I had a good machinist and a welder and a good electrician with controls, in the early days. And now we have all that under one roof.
Yeah.
Today to handle all that. And our control guys are really second to none. It's amazing what they can.
We're going to have to cook up some kind of crazy machine.
Yeah.
In our heads. How can we make those boxes faster?
Now you're talking. Yeah, we want a machine that makes those boxes.
Yeah. That's actually would probably be pretty simple.
Yeah, it's definitely an impressive facility if you ever going for a field trip.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
We got a lot of stuff on deck right now, so it's.
How far is it from falling water?
I don't know where falling water is. I'm trying to think.
I think that's out there pretty far.
Yeah, falling water's out, like you have to go towards Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah, no. So we're north, like just north of 80.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think, and then 180
we
comes
go through Scranton, like if we're going to Pulaski.
Okay. Hughesville.
Yeah, just a little town coming through. Nice though.
Yeah. Is it like on the Scranton? The Schuylkill goes through Scranton, right?
Well, we're another hour west.
You can see.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's like Coleman County.
Yep.
Yeah,
if you knew where Grizzly was, we were literally not even 10 minutes from there.
Yeah, they're in Missouri?
And they're actually getting ready to tear that whole Lycoming Mall down.
Oh.
Modify it, yeah. I guess a couple of anchor stores are going to stay up there. But
yeah, the age of the shopping mall is
that
no more.
Grizzly was in a mall? Is that what it was? Or
well, the Lycoming Mall was there. Then they had their buildings. And I don't know what the square footage were. They were huge buildings because they had their distribution there and their whole showroom was there. I think it probably would have made sense if it was closer to Harrisburg. That would have been probably made a lot more sense for them.
Yeah,
just
because you're probably
quarters.
2 hours from Harrisburg?
An hour and a half.
Hour and a half, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and it's not a bad trip at all. Right up 15 and turns right into 180.
Just like a little southwest.
Yep.
Yeah, because I went to school out in West Virginia, so I would take 476 all the way.
Oh, yeah.
Altoona, get on 220, and then 68 or something.
The party bars in the streets.
Oh, yeah.
The beer bars, we call them.
Yeah, Morgantown. Fun town. Yeah. I'm still paying for all that fun.
They give you a glass in those and it already has lipstick and stuff on it.
Oh, yeah. You're lucky if you got glass. It was mostly plastic.
Yeah.
That's
right.
I
was in a few of those.
Yeah. College town, yes, where there is no breakable glass. It's always plastic.
Yeah, the funny thing in Morgantown, it's like the bars, you only have to be 18 to get in.
Yeah.
But you can't drink unless you're 21.
Yeah.
In quotations.
Yeah, they had, back when I was there, it was definitely in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't go to the upper bar. that was on street level. You had to go to the basement part.
Oh, man.
That was pretty rugged.
Yeah,
One beer on tap.
Yeah, usually
There's no choice.
Ice House. Ice House was a big one for on tap. Yeah, Wednesdays were penny pitchers, so a pitcher of beer was a penny. And I went to school in this is like 2008.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I can't imagine, it was probably had been a penny for 30 years.
Yeah, they just never changed.
Yeah, the last time I was there was like 87, 88 maybe. Yeah, so it was a long time ago.
I wasn't even born.
So,
yeah,
good times.
Yeah, it's a fun town.
My buddy he went to Pitt, and he had on his Mustang said Pitt GT for the license plate, and they were down there in Virginia for a game, and somebody rolled his whole license plate up.
Yeah, they said,
West Virginia.
Eat shit Pitt is that's what it says. The backyard brawl. Actually, when I was a freshman, we lost to Pitt in the backyard brawl at home, and it knocked us out. We were supposed to go to the NCAA championship, and it knocked us out. Yeah, that was a heartbreaker.
I don't know, do they still hold the ranking for the #1 party school in the U.S.? They were always in the top 5.
Yeah, I've looked it up a couple times. When I was a freshman, it was #1. I like to think that I had a small hand in that. But recently, I think I was talking to somebody about it. It was a different school, but yeah, it was like Playboy, I think, was the big one who did the rankings, and it was like forever.
Yeah, it's funny because like on my Facebook profile, it said, "Where'd you study?" It said BKU. Well, it's Bob Craling University. It's my dad. I was never college material.
Well, I didn't leave with a diploma. I'll put it that way.
I did graduate, but it took me literally 20 years from the time I graduated high school because I started and stopped so many times.
Oh yeah, and to get over the hump on it.
When you're working, you go for a semester, 2 semesters, then you just can't do it anymore. And
yeah, because you get a full boat going on.
Yeah. So 20 years, but I did graduate.
So yeah, I dove into that, and that was my education in the woodworking industry.
Well, we've been at it here for about an hour and 40 minutes. I feel like we just scratched the surface.
I think so.
Yeah, we're going to have you come back again.
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, maybe on delivery day we'll do episode 2.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm out here every week, so.
Hey.
Whatever you want me to slide in.
I'm here every Wednesday.
Have you done other podcasts?
No, first one.
All right.
I feel honored.
You're a natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely feel honored to be on it.
Some people sit down and they lock up. Oh yeah, we try and keep it, no
lighthearted. Well, I studied actually, so I listened to your podcast. And the funny thing is, it's like stuck in my Spotify. So like every time I get in, no matter what car, your podcast comes on right away. I'm like, how the hell do I
gotta get those downloads?
It segues into one of my favorite episodes when we were delivering a piece of furniture. And the wife says, Jeff says, how did you hear about us? Yeah. And the wife says, he's always listening to that stupid podcast.
Like some guy in like finance or something. He's like, yeah, I found your podcast.
Yeah. I always get a kick out of that. So yeah.
We're this month we'll hit 100,000 downloads. We're at about 98,000. So this month we'll tick over.
And if we send like half of them to me, pick the brain.
Yeah.
No, I'd love. It'd be awesome to have some more people with questions and stuff. And
we'll get you some feedback. I'm sure this is going to be
if you're even
interesting.
having trouble painting your hot rod, I can deal in with that as well. And the my buddy is a painter as well, and he said it's like Russian roulette, but a slow death.
Oh no!
In bodywork and paint, because they're always changing the chemicals and stuff, and you got to be on your game.
That's like Manny.
Yeah, Tom over at TCC wants your Bondo tips.
Yeah,
but not for cars. There's more Bondo in that shop than a body shop. I think sometimes.
Yeah, he buys it in the big gallon cans.
Ooh.
Yeah. We won't make a comment because
he's making sculptures.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to know what he's doing over there after hours. It's bad news. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, take care, everybody.
Thanks.
As always, Rob and I thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. If you want to help support the podcast, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. You can join our Patreon, or you can use one of our affiliate links in the podcast description for vesting finishes. Again, we appreciate your support. Thanks for tuning in.